Hey everyone, welcome to Kelvin Corp, formerly Magic Commander, but changed the name back. Didn't like it, so here we are again. Commander Deck Tech, Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury. It's a great card, It's a fun little planeswalker. It's also elf, tribal, more or less. Oh wait. Let's do it like this. This is better. So what you can do, 5 mana, it comes in 3 loyalty, +2, create a 1/1 green elf druid creature token with tap, add 1 green to your mana pool, -2, destroy target artifact or enchantment, -6, draw a card for each green creature you control. So this is the commander. It gets some help from Vivian, Champion of the Wilds. I think this card is underappreciated, should be played in more decks. Just mainly for the first ability, you may cast creature spells as though they had flash, +1 until your next turn, up to 1 target creature gains vigilance and reach. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, exile 1 face down and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. For as long as this remains exiled, you may look at that card and you may cast it if it's a creature card. That was the -2. Great card. Now we have some creatures. Sylvan Safekeeper. 1 green, 1/1. Sacrifice a land. Target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn. Some protection. Here we have Elvish Mystic. Also 1 green, 1/1. Tap to add green to your mana pool. You have Reclamation Sage, 2 and a green. When Reclamation Sage enters the battlefield, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. So some removal. Here we have Joraga Warcaller. 1 green for 1/1 with multi-kicker. You may pay an additional 1 and a green any number of times as you cast this spell. Joraga Warcaller enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. Other elves you control get +1/+1 for each +1/+1 counter on Joraga Warcaller. Here we have Imperious Perfect, 2 and a green for a 2/2 with a static ability. Other elves creatures you control get +1/+1. 1 green, tap it, create a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token. Here we have something similar, 3 and a green for 2/2. Tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature for each elf you control. And as you can guess, there are a lot of elves. Here we have a tribal sorcery, 3 and a green, create 3 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. It also has reinforce 3. Then we have Titania's Chosen, 2 and a green for 1/1. Whenever player casts a green spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Titania's Chosen. Drove of Elves, 3 and a green. It's an elf, hexproof. Drove of Elves' power and toughness are equal to the number of green permanents you control. Rishkar, Pima Renegade. When Rishkar enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. Each creature you control with a counter on it has tap. Add 1 green to your mana pool. Great card for ramping. Here we have Timberwatch Elf, 2 and a green. Tap it, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of elves on the battlefield. Here we have 1 and a green for a 2/1, Reach, Dead Touch Elf. Here we have one of the big creatures, 4 generic, 2 green, Rampaging Ballards. has trample and landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. That's pretty tough. Then we have Well-Wisher, 1 generic and a green. It's a 1/1. Tap it, you gain 1 life for each elf on the battlefield. Everyone knows this one, Elvish Visionary. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Wood Elves, also very known, 2 and a green for a 1/1. When Wood Elves enters the battlefield, search your library for a forest card and put that onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. We also have Wolfbriar Elemental, 2 and 2 green. When Wolfbriar Elemental enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green wolf token for each time it was kicked, and you can kick it for just 1 green. Then we have Soul of the Harvest. It's basically a draw spell. Lifeblood Hydra. When Lifeblood Hydra dies, you gain life and draw cards equal to its power, and its power is determined about how many mana you put into it. Then we have lists. Alana Huntmaster. Whenever you cast an elf spell, you may create a 1/1 elf warrior creature token. Masked Admirers. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may pay 2 green. If you do, return Masked Admirers from your graveyard to your hand. Rens Run Packmaster. Mainly here for this ability, create wolf tokens. Later you understand why I like tokens so much. When Sylvan Ranger enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, put it in your hand, then shuffle your library. It's a 1 and a green for 1/1. Essence Warden. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain a life. It's 1 green for a 1/1. Here we have Elvish Sky Sweeper, 1 green for a 1/1. Pay 4 and a green, sacrifice a creature, destroys target creature with flying. Good if your opponent plays dragons. 4 and 2 green. 4 and 2 green. Whenever you cast a creature spell, you may draw a card. Then we have this one, also a great ramp. Here we have Azusa, Last But Seeking. You may play 2 additional lands on each of your turns. Thunderfoot Baloth, 4 green, test trample. It's a 5/5. Elvish Reclaimer, 1 for a 1/2. It gets +2/+2 as long as there are 3 or more land cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a land, search your library for a land card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. Shuffle your library. Here we have a great removal spell. When the Titan Ape enters the battlefield, it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. And when it attacks, destroy target artifact or enchantment defending player controls. And some more ramp with Llanowar Elves. A great finisher, Izuri, 1 for a green. 1 green, regenerate another target elf. 2 green elf creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Here we have Garruk's Harbinger. Whenever Garruk's Harbinger deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may reveal a creature card or Garruk Planeswalker's card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is mainly to get some cards, get some creatures out of the deck. Like this one, Elvish Archdruid, 1 and 2 green. Other elf creatures you control get +1/+1. Tap it, add 1 green to your mana pool for each elf you control. Then we have Farhaven Elf. When it enters the battlefield, you search your library for a basic land card. If you do, Shuffle your library, put it on the battlefield tapped. This deck is very deceptive to board wipes. So we have Heroic Intervention, an instant for 1 and a green. Permanent you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Here we have some ramp, 2 and a green. Harrow as an additional cost to cast Harrow, sacrifice land. Search your library up for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. And shuffle your library. Here we have Fresh Meat, 3 and a green, instant. Create a 3/3 green beast creature token for each creature put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn. So after a board wipe, it's mainly good to come back from it. Then we have Grim Flooring, 5 and a green. Sorcery, draw a card for each creature card in your graveyard, so after board wipe, get some resources. Overwhelming Stampede, the budget creator roof. 3 green until end of turn. Creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. I also play Sylvan Offering, X and a green, sorcery, choose an opponent, you and that opponent, you and that player. Each create an XX green 3/4 creature token, choose an opponent, you and that player. Each create X 1/1 green elf warrior creature tokens. So very political, a lot of fun. And also we have Whirlwind, 2 generic green, sorcery, destroy all creatures with flying because we don't like them. Then we have Cultivate, 2 and a green, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards and put onto the battlefield. 1 onto the battlefield tapped and the other in your hand, and shuffle your library. Then we also have this one, Predator Council, 5 generic green. Return all cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Council. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. That's pretty bonkers. Then we have Overrun, 2 for green. Creatures you control get +3/+3 and gain trample until end of turn. Collective Unconscious. I don't know, I sound like Trump at the moment. Unconscious. 4 generic green, sorcery, draw a card for each creature you control, and believe me, it will be a lot. So here we have our enchantments, 2 and a green, Awakening Zone. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token. It has sacrifice this creature, add 1 colorless to your mana pool. Then we have Wolf Colors Howl, also an enchantment, 3 and a green. At the beginning of your upkeep, create X 2/2 green wolf creature tokens, where X is the number of your opponents with 4 or more cards in hand. Pretty powerful. Then we have Beastmaster Ascension. You all get it. Now we have Guardian Project, 3 and a green. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card. So that's great. Exploration, you may play additional land on each of your turns. 1 green. Great enchantment. Then we have Bow of Nylea, 1 green. Most important part, attacking creatures you control have Death Touch. Here we have Doubling Season, 4 and a green. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it create twice that many of those tokens instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent you control, it puts twice that many of those counters on that permanent instead. Which means if you have Doubling Season out and then you cast Freyalise, you get -6 right away. But remember, if you have Doubling Season out and you do uptick for 2, it just goes up with 2, not with 4, because the uptick is cost to activate its ability, and you cannot double the cost of something. Something to remember. And then one of my favorite cards to finish a game, Blightsteel Colossus. In this deck you get it out very easy, very early. Trample, Infect, Indestructible. Shuffles itself back into the grave. So, great card. Sad Robot, because you need a T1000 in your deck. When it enters the battlefield, search a library for basic land, put it on the battlefield tapped. If it dies, you draw a card. Swiftfoot Boots, because when Blightsteel comes out, he needs to hit and needs to be protected. Lightning Greaves, because we need to protect our big creatures, but hit right away. Now we get some artifacts. So we have Moss Diamond, it taps for a green, enters tapped. The best draw card in the deck. Best draw card if you have a token deck, period. Skull Clamp. Equipped creature get +1, -1. When equipped creature dies, draw 2 cards. Equip cost of 1. Then we have Emerald Medallion, green spell you cast. Cost 1 less to cast, 1 generic. Soul Ring, it's a commander deck, you need Soul Ring. Commander Sphere, add to your mana pool 1 mana of any color in your commander's colors, identity or green. Sacrifice it, draw a card. Seer Sundial, Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card. This one I might switch out with Lifecrafter's Bestiary, just because it's easier for the draw and cheaper. Here we have some fun lands. This is, yeah, it's a bounce land you need, huh? It's fun. You have to return an untapped forest to your hand, but that's not a problem. You get 2 mana back for it. This one has cycling. Also it enters tapped, which is not that great. This one also does it, but if we swarm the field with tokens, we can immediately buff them up with a +1/+1. Castle Garbrick, 2 green, tap it, add 6 green, spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities. Also this one enters tap, but it has cycling to get some draws. Gargoyle Castle, add 1 colorless, pay 5, sacrifice it, create a 3/4 colorless gargoyle token, not needed. Hunted Fangraph, add it, 1 colorless. Reliquary Tower, because I like to draw cards and I want to keep them. Ghost Quarter, it's like a strip mine, but slightly worse because the controller gets a basic land out of it. This one enters tapped, it's a real slow fetch. Khan's Bastion, why not? Because once we start the +1/+1 train, proliferate is the best thing we can do. And then we have some forest. I run 3, 6, 9, 10, 13, 16, 19, 20, 21, 22 forests. 22 forest combined with 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 utility lands. So that was it for Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury, which get a reprint in Commander Green. So